Happy Pride. Shout out to all my Lambeosaurs, Gorgosaurs, Brachiosaurs, Therizinosaurs, Chonchosaurs, Irritators, Marcosaurs, everyone outside and in between.
Hi, gay.
Hi, hello, I'm Helen. I make silly little dinosaur videos on the internet. And if you wonder why I'm floating in a liminal space right now, I'm stuck in the back rooms, please help.
Nah.
I'm in Kansas teaching at the Sternberg Museum of Natural History science camps. But today, let's learn about a man who would have made high school history class so much more interesting. Franz Nopcsa von Felso Silvas. And if you have no idea who that is, don't feel bad. I have never met a single person in person who knows who this person was. And I know a lot of persons. Like at least 12. Cats count, right?
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Point is, Nopcsa wasn't really immortalized by mainstream Western history, even though he was a scientist, spy, motorcyclist, baron, ethnographer, almost king of Albania, father of paleobiology, and gorgeously gay man. The guy deserves his own Hollywood franchise. Sorry, but how do we have nearly 12 Fast and the Furious movies and no Nopcsa biopic? I mean, nothing against Dom and the fam. Takes a lot of work saving humanity from a space laser.
This is crazy, bro.
But today we're going to be traveling back to the era of sideburns and insufficient sewer systems to unearth the life of a controversial queer icon. Franz Nopcsa was born in 1877 with a silver spoon in his mouth. Actually, arguably a shovel. His parents were Hungarian aristocrats with more money than marketable skills. His father was ex-military and a member of the Hungarian parliament, but as is maddeningly common for written history of this era, we know very little about his mother. Like, just her name.
Why did you say that name?
It's his mother's name. But even though institutional sexism erased her from history, at least she had a really cool house. Nopcsa grew up on a family estate in Transylvania, a place that does indeed exist. And I live in eternal shame for thinking it was fictional until age 12. Now, that house is actually still there. After about a century rotting away, Castle Nopcsa in Chikal, Romania underwent a 6-year renovation and is finally open to visitors. Babe, wake up. Castle Nopcsa in Chikal, Romania is open. But yeah, back in the day, that house could have served as a backlot for Bridgerton. 600 square foot personal library level luxury. Wait, that's like 3 times the size of this dorm.
Don't think about it.
One day, in 1895, while Nopcsa's little sister was playing around outside of the family estate, doing whatever aristocratic kids do outside, I don't know, riding ponies, playing croquet, falling into a rabbit hole and tripping balls with Helena Bonham Carter, I don't know, she found something incredible. The skull of a dinosaur. Now, of course, when she found it, she had no idea what the thing was, so she showed her brother Nopcsa. And like an almond mom with a pottery barn, he was obsessed. Since the internet was still 90 or so years away, Nopcsa wrote to Austrian geologist Professor Edward Seuss.
There are more scientific methods of searching than that.
Who encouraged Nopcsa to research the fossil for himself? Never too young to start working in science. It's something that's extremely easy to say when your parents' uncle in the Austro-Hungarian Empire itself funds your fieldwork. Still, that doesn't take away from how impressive it was that only 2 years after finding the skull, he enrolled to study geology at the Academy of Sciences in Vienna. A building that is stupid pretty. Like, what is this? Then after just 2 more years, he presented his first academic lecture at age 22. Now, the dialectics, 2 things can be true at once. Nopcsa was insanely privileged and also insanely intelligent. Now, his lecture, Dinosaur Remnants in Transylvania, isn't just remarkable because of the author. It also documents a crazy feature of Transylvanian dinos. They're small. Like, really small. Which doesn't mean there's some mass burial of babies. That was the worst way I could have phrased that. Because as Nopcsa noticed, the dinosaurs' bones were fused in places suggesting they were full adults before hitting their expiration date, just really small. Which is weird on its own, but Nopcsa was able to identify something even odder. Though the dinosaurs were from the Cretaceous, they were spitting images of several species from way back in the Jurassic elsewhere on Earth. Just fun-sized. Nopcsa had a hypothesis that, about 40 years later, has pretty much been proven absolutely right. See, ocean levels were a hell of a lot higher in the Cretaceous. So Europe was basically like an archipelago in a sea. Scientists have named the Tethys. What's now Transylvania used to be a landmass called Hateg Island. And often, when animals suddenly find themselves isolated on islands, evolution gets a bit... Nopcsa called it island insularity, a principle now known as the island rule, Foster's rule, the island effect, island gigantism, and island dwarfism. Hasn't been that many aliases since Ben's passport drawn lost. But all those terms refer to one phenomenon responsible for Earth's most unserious of creatures. See, from a geological timescale perspective, island islands can form fast. And when that happens, the few species who find their way onto that island are abruptly cut off from the wider ecosystem. Fewer resources, less predators, and a different composition of animals can cause the unusually small or large individuals of a certain species to survive much more successfully than they ever would have on the mainland. As time passes, those individuals pop out more and more babies, and boom, you have island versions of mainland species that are either mini or oversized. I mean, the last of the mammoth lived on islands and was barely horse-sized. It's a phenomenon observable today in giant Galapagos tortoises, dwarf lemurs, the list goes on. Drop in the comments any more examples you can think of. Nopcsa hypothesized that his Cretaceous dinos were smaller, more basal forms of animals on the mainland during the Jurassic, like a mini hadrosaur named Telmatosaurus, it's actually the skull his sister found, and a garage-friendly sauropod named Magurosaurus. But Nopcsa didn't limit himself to Dracula's home turf. As he got older, his scholarship branched out to encompass dinosaurs as a whole, not just the Transylvanian ones, though not all of his theories were winners. A crazy amount had seeds of truth that wouldn't be accepted by the wider paleontology community until decades after his death. Weirdly accurate stuff. Realizing how underdeveloped their hatchlings were, he proposed that some dinosaurs probably parented their young, not just laying their eggs and leaving them to survive solo, starring in brutal nature documentaries created to traumatize children.
Without the protection of their mother, they face many predators. As you can see, they make easy prey, even though the safety of the ocean is a mere 5 feet away.
Looking at you, sea turtles. He saw dinosaurs as active, dynamic animals, not the sluggish, antediluvian dead ends pictured by many of his peers. Dinosaurs weren't evolutionary failures just because they aren't around anymore. Hell, humans haven't been around for even a 540th of the time they have. Nopcsa also made the dinosaur to bird connection, speculating that they were a part of the same genetic lineage decades before paleontologists finally took a really good look at the feet of T-Rex and a chicken. In 1903, Nopcsa earned a PhD in geology, which he used to name 5 dinosaurs alongside 25 genera of reptiles and publish over 150 papers. But despite being deeply respected during his time, Nopcsa wasn't exactly, well, easy to work with. Arrogant, irritable, stubborn as hell. He was lucky that 50 years stood between him and the creation of Europe's first HR department. If I were to make a posthumous armchair diagnosis... Wait, this chair has no arms. If I were to make a posthumous dorm chair diagnosis, I'd say Nopcsa struggled with manic depression, an illness that was likely made worse by living in a society that actively shamed his sexuality. See, as Paul Barrett, a professor at the British Natural History Museum, says, Nopcsa was, quote, an openly and flamboyantly gay man at a time when it would have been totally socially unacceptable. Barrett speculates that Nopcsa escaped more violent instances of abuse because he was an aristocrat and allowed certain foibles that would have been easier to discriminate against if he didn't have his own money and a certain social position. But class wasn't the only complex factor at play during Nopcsa's life. Here in the 2020s, we often view gender and sexuality as these big ol' unshakable truths. Even if we consider ourselves accepting of all people, it can be easy to assume that these labels have always existed in our cultures. Do you know that the term heterosexuality was first coined in the West as a mental illness? It referred to all intimate acts that didn't result in procreation. A woman and a man want to kiss and cuddle without spawning 10 children? My god, Bertha, they must be mad! Only when governments wanted to start systematically criminalizing same-sex relationships did heterosexuality get a media makeover. Of course, homophobia had been building for centuries, using human sexuality as yet another tool to control and oppress others.
Don't piss me off.
But who cares about supporting natural, healthy, and expansive styles of human existence when you have meat juice presses to manufacture? Long story short, though, Nopcsa had certain freedoms growing up gay, but in a literal castle. At the same time, he was rapidly entering a century that would experience some truly disgusting hate crimes. Considering this, and likely some bad luck on the genetic front, it's no wonder that his mental health was never really 100%. Didn't expect a human sexuality deep dive in your dinosaur video, did ya? Happy Pride. But Nopcsa was so much more than his paleontology or even his sexuality. After falling in love with the Transylvanian count named Louis Strashkovich, I know, this man's life is an A24 movie in the making, he heard about and became absolutely obsessed with Albania. At the time, Albania was a province of the Ottoman Empire, vying for independence as the old behemoth of a country crumbled away. Hey, what do you call a kingdom that sells small benches? The Ottoman Empire. Came up with that joke in high school and I will still die on its hill. Guys, I'm so funny. Ottomans aside, Nopcsa started exploring Albania any chance he could get, absolutely falling in love with the area and its people. In some cases, literally. His second major recorded romance was with an Albanian ethnographic writer and photographer named Bayezid Elmaz Doda, who Nopcsa hired as a secretary in 1906.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
Nopcsa described Doda as the only person who has truly loved me and in whom I had full confidence, never doubting for a moment that he would misuse my trust. They would ultimately be partners in life and death. More on that later. For now, the two men traveled everywhere together, once even taken hostage by a famous bandit lord in the Albanian mountains. Then the Austro-Hungarian Empire mega pissed off the aforementioned kingdom that sells small benches by annexing Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was the beginning of the end for Nopcsa and Doda's honeymoon of side quests. Nopcsa did his best to protect Albanian interests, running guns, learning the language, becoming a spy till he was so famous for his Albanian expertise, he was even seen as a candidate for the Albanian throne in 1913. Unfortunately, another event in my AP World History textbook decided to upend Nopcsa's life. A little something called World War I. When the dust settled, Nopcsa had lost his estate, possessions, and financial independence. What's a girl to do but to move to Budapest and serve as the director of the Royal Hungarian Institute of Geology? Unfortunately, word I'll be saying more and more of as we wrap up Nopcsa's story, he was never really happy there. I mean, to keep food on the table, he had to sell his fossil collection to the Natural History Museum in London. If you saw this lanyard randomly appear and then disappear over the course of this video, no you didn't. I will not have continuity errors on my YouTube channel. So as one last hurrah, Nopcsa embarked on a motorcycle journey through Europe with Doda. But unfortunately, a sick bike tour, no matter how scenic, doesn't exactly deal with depression. Trigger warning for violent crime and ending one's own life. If that topic is distressing for you, please jump to the time code below. Okay, so here's where I kind of pop the bubble of Nopcsa hero worship. Yes, he was a remarkable man. He was also a complex man, one who did something absolutely inexcusable to his partner without Doda's consent. In April 1933, both men were found dead in Vienna. Authorities found a note from Nopcsa that read, "The motive for my suicide is a nervous breakdown. The reason that I shot my longtime friend and secretary, Mr. Bayezid Elmaz Doda, in his sleep without his suspecting, is that I did not want to leave him behind sick, in misery, and without a penny, because he would have suffered too much. I wish to be cremated." I wish that this story had a happier ending. That Nopcsa's only legacy was some wild island dinosaurs and wacky adventures through Albania. But it's not. Humans are rarely that simple. Which does not excuse the terrible thing he did, but also doesn't erase his accomplishments or negate the value of telling his story. To help make a more welcoming, mentally healthy world for every human, dinosaur nerd or not, in whatever small way I can, I'm donating $100 to Point of Pride. It's not a lot, but I hope some of you that are able might consider doing the same. Speaking of you, hi! Hello! A shout out to Kitty Pride-77X on YouTube for motivating me to make this entire video in 13 days. Also, any of my audience from Albania? If so, please comment below, I'd love to know. And if you're a Transylvanian dinosaur, please don't comment below and go fix the break in the time-space continuum you crawled out of. Oh, but first like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, bye!